Welcome to Sportsbet Daily at oddsmarket.com, NFL Week 6. And this show is starting to really feel like one of my favourites. Cannot wait. Last night, Patriots stuck 35 up against an injury-ravaged New York Giants. Only one touchdown from the offense. All them points from defense. Special teams messes up. It's just the game that we love. It's unscripted drama. But what we'll try and do is put a little bit of a script to some of the games this weekend. I'm joined by Spread Astaire. Spread, how are you, mate?
I'm doing great today, Flash.
Good. It's a good weekend of football this weekend. And we're going to start off with the 49ers versus the Rams. 49ers +3. The market's at 50.5 now. And that opened at 49. I'm looking at this and thinking under.
You're thinking under? I was thinking it could be a high-scoring affair. I'll tell you what, this is my favorite play of the week, though, and my play is on the side. I've been kind of hammering on the 49ers being undervalued, and I just chose the wrong spot to try and exploit that last week with the Browns. But I think this is going to be a much better spot. And my reasons are, number one, the Rams have the extra rest. They played last Thursday night in that exciting game versus Seattle, while the 49ers are off short rest playing on Monday night. And my main concerns for the 49ers here are going to be injuries to the offensive line and their blocking fullback, Kyle Juszczyk. Now, they lost Joe Staley earlier in the year, and during the game, he played the whole game, but after the game was announced, he'd be out 4 to 6 weeks, and that's right tackle Mike McGlinchey, who's just a beast out of Notre Dame, and he was really anchoring that line on the right side. So now they're missing their starting left tackle, they're missing their starting right tackle, and they're all pro fullback. I don't know if they're going to be able to open up the holes for the running game like they have been in the past. With Aaron Donald on the defensive line and the Rams just, being fairly strong in run defense, I think this is going to be a real tough test for the Niners, and I think this is a great bounce back spot for the Rams. It's looking like a buy low on the Rams. They looked a little weak the past couple weeks, losing to the Buccaneers and then the Seahawks. And we got to buy high on the Niners, or sell high on the Niners, who are, they've beaten Tampa Bay, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, and now Cleveland, who, boy, that Cleveland team is really tough to cap. But overall, I'm thinking that this Niners team might be a tad bit overrated. I think this is a great buy low spot on the Los Angeles Rams.
Yeah, I really like the Rams -3, and that's the reason I was going under. I think that both these defenses, even if they've got injuries, they will get to the quarterbacks. I fancy the Rams win the game, don't get me wrong. But when you're looking at 50 points, you need both teams to contribute. I think that the Rams will come out on top. I think they're way too strong. And I just think that maybe Rams -3 and the under is probably my way to go. But I would certainly want to be on Rams -3.
Yes, I'm definitely on the Rams -3. I'll put a little thought into that total. I actually didn't look into the total too much this week. I think sometimes these totals can be tough to cap because, as we saw last night, turnovers and defensive scores can a lot of times be the key to going over in some of these games. And sometimes those are really tough to predict. I don't really see a key indicator here that shows me that we're going to see a lot of turnovers here on Sunday afternoon. But I really like the Rams to get back here. Boy, this should be a fun game, though. Great coaching matchup between two great offensive minds in Kyle Shanahan and Sean McVay. So we'll see how they like to do. One thing I'd like to point out about the Rams is they need to fix up their offensive schemes. They switched this weekend. They tried to use more 12 personnel, but the problem was they ran out of it 71% of the time. So it became very, very obvious when they were in their typical 11 personnel, which they're usually very varied out of. They passed every single time out of 11. So what they need to do is they need to be a little more deceptive this week. But I expect the Sean McVay sharp coach is going to see that he had that mistake and that tendency and kind of gave the tell to the defense, and he's not going to allow himself to do that again.
Yep, I like the fact that I think both teams are going to want to run the ball, which means they'll run the clock, which means there'll be less snaps. I just think the under at 50.5 is a definite way for me. Let's move on, Rafa. Get the Eagles up against the Vikings because it's probably the #1 game of the weekend. Eagles I took at plus 1,200 this week for the Super Bowl. I think the NFC is far superior to the AFC. We've got Eagles getting 3 points against the Vikings and the total's 44. I've took the Eagles money line plus 140 spread.
Yeah, I'm on the Eagles here as well, and this is a real simple handicap for me. I'm basically going against Kirk Cousins in a strong defense. The Eagles have a strong defense, and what they're able to do is they do blitz, but they don't blitz that often. Jim Schwartz got the defensive coordinator of the Eagles. He managed to get 10 sacks out of only 16 blitzes last week, which means that their front four is getting a lot of pressure. When their front four gets that pressure, they drop 7 in coverage. They can use a nice mix of man and zone coverages to confuse the quarterback. And I think that Kirk Cousins is going to be he's going to be the guy that's going to suffer this week. He's struggled against the good defenses in the past, and the key to the Vikings offense is they need to run the ball with Dalvin Cook. So it's going to be incumbent on the Eagles to get ahead early, establish their running game, and they want to put Minnesota in the past situations. They want Minnesota to have to rely on Kirk Cousins to win the game, and that's the situation the Eagles want to be in.
Yeah, I went over to 44 as well for that exact same reason. I think he's going to try and air it out and get... Listen, I think that 44 gets done back door here in the fourth quarter. If it's any earlier, then obviously we're going to be happy. But I think the Eagles are a class outfit. I think the Vikings D is going to be tested exactly the same way as the Green Bay D was. So we're happy. We're both on the same page. Eagles +3, Eagles money line, and even go over 44. I think 44's too small. Carolina versus Tampa. Carolina -2. Tampa total 47.5. Spread. You said about the Browns hard to cap. These Panthers are hard to cap.
And the Buccaneers are all over the place too. This game's a full wild card. Not to mention we have the travel all the way to London, which is also hard to cap as well. But I really like Carolina here. This is actually, I think, our first rematch of the season. Carolina lost at home to Tampa in week 2. But where that gives Carolina the advantage is they have more mistakes to learn from when they're looking at the tape. Christian McCaffrey, that was his worst game of the year against Tampa, and I think that Coach Ron Rivera and his offensive coordinator are going to be able to get together, figure out their mistakes. And I also think this team is much better under quarterback Kyle Allen. I think that the team responds to him a little better. I think that Cam Newton might have distanced himself from the team a little bit with his trying to be, a brand and a model and a superstar. And, I think that Kyle Allen really has his team going. The defense seems to have shored itself up. And, Tampa is all over the place. But if they can't run the ball, I think they're going to really have a lot of problems. And I think that Carolina will fix it. They will be able to run the ball. And I'm looking for a Carolina cover in this early morning game.
Yeah, I would tell people just to be careful of the weather. There's deluge of rain over the next couple of days. Obviously, we like probably the unders when the rain comes. But saying that, if these two put their best foot forward, 47.5 total is going to get swamped.
Yeah, I lean under too. And it's funny, when I was doing some research for the game, off the top of my head, I thought that unders hit more often in London. And it turns out that after the Bears game last week, the over has gone over one extra time. I think it's 15-14 off the top of my head. But I thought that unders were more prevalent than they were. I remember a lot of low-scoring games, so I think that the odds makers seem to be setting the totals low here. At 47, we're getting a higher number, and especially look into that weather, that under might be a good look.
Yeah, keep an eye on the weather. Rain forecast, and we don't mean a little bit, we mean deluge. Okay, let's move on, Rafa. Texans +4 against the Chiefs, coming off that defeat last week against the Colts, who I can't get right. I think there could be a playoff team. Unless I bet them, they get beat. They don't turn up. The line is a massive 55. If the Texans don't turn up, 55 is way too high.
Yeah, and I think this is going to be an interesting game. Now, in doing some research to the game, I saw that a lot of the coordinators and people around the NFL were impressed with Matt Patricia's game plan that he put together against Kansas City 2 weeks ago. And what he decided to do was play basically a man coverage, and he would use his safeties in the zone, but he kept a man. And his idea there was that basically Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes are going to carve up any zone you give them. So you're better off having your cornerback stick to the wide receivers right off the bat and at least giving your pass rushers a chance because, in the zones, there's too many holes and Mahomes and Reed are just too sharp and they're going to find them. Another thing to notice was, in that game last week, Mahomes didn't look 100% healthy. He was limping a lot. And if his escapability and his movement is even slightly hampered, that takes away a big weapon for Mahomes because he's able to prevent a lot of sacks just by the fact that he's so quick and he's got that rocket arm. He's able to get the ball down the field. But if he's not 100% movement-wise, that's really going to open things up for the Texans rushers. This was the last game I put in my pick six for the SBR pick six contest this week. And I don't love this game, but I did choose Houston because I'm not 100% sure about Mahomes' health. And I'll tell you what, on the opposite side, Deshaun Watson looks fantastic. I mean, he's finding his receivers. He's another guy that moves in the pocket, buys himself time, finds open receivers. And, he's had a great couple press conferences post-game the last couple weeks where he really explains how he's diagnosing the coverages and what he does and what he wants to do. Really shows a great understanding of the game. And this is going to be a great game. I chose the Texans here. And, wasn't my favorite one. It was the sixth one that I chose. I was hovering over a couple other games. But this should be a lot of fun. What do you like here, Flash?
I like the screens from the Chiefs. I think they'll keep the Texans' defense honest, and I think that they'll let them come. And I think he'll just keep them honest early by a few screens, a few 20-yard run plays. I think that 55 seems on paper it seems too high because I think that one of these teams. I mean, listen, we saw the way that the Chiefs got shut down last week. We see the way that they limped over the line in the last 40 seconds against the Detroit Lions. I just don't know about these two sides. I think this is probably a wild card or a playoff sort of game. So it's a tough one. I haven't got an opinion. I haven't got a play. So now I'm just going to be cheering on you. You've gone Texans +4, yeah?
Yep, Texans +4. And another point on your under is if Mahomes isn't 100%, that would give more incentive for Andy Reid to run the ball and prevent his quarterback from being in those situations where he's taking hits and risking maybe further injury.
Yeah, okay. Well, let's move on to another game that I'm going to select, and that's the Lions versus the Packers, Rafa. So if you can put that one up for me. Lions +4.5, off a bye, going to probably, in my opinion, the NFC number one side, if not number two, Packers, and the total's at 47. I've gone in here with over. I've gone in here Packers -4.5, and I've gone in here Packers -4. I'm with the Packers.
Yeah, I can see why you like the Packers here, and I'm going out on a limb, and I'm going to take the Lions here. And my idea is that they're a division rival, and that you guys have fun when you're going opposite Monday nights. But it's a division rival, and I really like the way that Patricia has really shored up this defense. And, he's a run-first coach. He likes to run the ball, which could lead to a low-scoring game. And in a low-scoring game, I love to have the plus points there. Matt Stafford throws a beautiful deep ball. Receivers really rave about how catchable his ball is and the way he throws the ball. So Stafford is always a weapon. There are some concerns. Green Bay's look fantastic. One thing I like to note about Green Bay is that they have declined in scoring for each quarter. The first quarter, they've scored the most points in the season. Second quarter, the second most. Third quarter. And in the fourth quarter this season, they've only scored 9 points, Flash, only 9 points. So if the Lions can keep this close, there's a good chance for a cover here because we know that Green Bay does not like to pour it on at the end.
No, and there's a couple of other things that we've obviously pointed to there for people. I remember saying a couple of weeks ago that they do obviously decline, but they are in front. They do, you could say, game management. I'm not having that. I think they've got their set 20, 25 plays. They go through that book, and then Matt LaFleur's like, oh, well, what am I going to do now? But if you're an in-play bettor, and you know that the Packers are going to go out firing, you definitely know that Stafford is not going to lay down and he is going to backdoor 14, 17 points in the second half. So for me, that's why I went all over 47, because I think that both teams hit the 20s, but I think the Packers may just get to 30s.
Well, I'll tell you what, Flash, if you're with me and you're on the Lions this game, I think you'd be wise to wait until Monday to place your bet. I think that after, the public takes a beating on Sunday, which they usually do, and they like to come back heavy on the favorite. I think if you're price shopping, the best price will be available 2 to 3 hours before game time on Monday if you are a Lions backer.
Well, the thing is, last night, I mean, it's the same. Sometimes you're better off going in play. I went with the Giants plus 17. I went with the over, I think it was 42. And then at heart, we went 14-14 deep into the second quarter. The Patriots were 6.5 favourites. Jump all over it because the Patriots were always going to get it done in Foxborough. So it's all good. I'll tell you the last one, Seattle against the Browns. We called it Monday night. Seattle were plus 2.5 points prior to the game against the 49ers game against the Browns. And then now minus 1.5, minus 2 in places. 46 is the slot, and it opened at 47. I think Seattle, far too good for the Browns.
Yeah, and this is the last game I was hovering on when I was choosing between my pick six. It was either going to be Seattle or Houston. It was a tough spot. I was taking a road team both either way. And my worry was that because the Browns look so bad on Monday night, which put up pretty much as bad a performance as a football team could put up. And, we know in the NFL that no team is as bad as their worst performance. And so I'm just worried about what we're going to get here. So that's the main reason I stayed away. Seattle also hasn't always been the best road team. But when I have to make a choice, I'm taking Seattle. And the reason I'm going to do that is the extra rest, the same reason with the Rams. They've got 10 days to go ahead and look at this Brown teams. I'm sure they've seen some of the things that the 49ers did. And that was basically just killed our offensive line off the rush. The thing is, bad offensive lines don't travel. I expect the Browns' offensive line to play a little better here at home. I expect them to look a little better at home. So ultimately, I stayed off the game. But if I had a lean, I'm taking Seattle. You'd be hard-pressed to catch me holding a Browns tickets right now. This team just looks to be in disarray.
I don't think the Browns people want to be holding a Browns ticket. But I went with Seattle minus 1.5. But I also went Seattle on the money line because we know what Seattle are like. They like to just win that game in the last few seconds with a field goal. They managed to get themselves up by 9 and then let the other team get 8. They just don't go more than a touchdown up. So for me, Seattle minus 1.5. I think they'll cover, but just in case they don't, I think they win.
That's a good idea because as a person who had Seattle minus 1.5 in that Rams game, I completely understand your sentiment there.
Yeah, but my sentiment is I saw my friend put his hand in a dog's mouth and it bit him. So for me, I'm not putting my hand in no dog's mouth.
Yeah, stay away from that. And we'll see how the Browns and the dog pound do over there this weekend, see if they can do any biting.
They'll be like chihuahuas. Okay, spread. Good luck, mate. Really looking forward to the 49ers and Rams. Really looking forward to Monday night as well. Come and join us. Obviously, give us a bit of stick. Lions and the Packers. I'll be Packers. You'll be Lions. Don't know where Jay's going to go. So until next time, I'll see you soon, Spread.
Thanks a lot for having me on, Flash. Another great show as always.
Always great fun. Let's hope we have a great weekend. So that's Spread Astaire. That's NFL Week 6 wrapped up. What we need to do now is remind you that I'm doing a hangout tomorrow. Euro 2020 qualifiers on a Saturday. I know, there's no rest for the wicked. And then next week, it's full steam ahead. We've got golf from France. We've got 2 tennis tournaments. La Liga, Bundesliga, Serie A, Premier League. They all return to your screens. Until then, enjoy the NFL. Have a great weekend.